Next up, we have two strange fellows in the audience.
Strange.
Strange faces, excuse me. Sorry, guys.
But how can anyone follow that act?
You guys better go somewhere better than Italy. Good luck. Please, we have two individuals from American Energy Solutions. I know they have made it in their best interest to be here for 5 minutes or so to discuss some potential opportunities for the district.
All right, well,
Scott and Vivek.
right. So in the world of solar, as an internet companies, 10 years is a really long time to have survived and been around. We were founded in 2006, and we have some wonderful partners that we deal with. One of them being Public Service, which is our incumbent utilities provider in the state in a lot of areas. And another company that we have that has some interest in providing services to you, it's called Sunvest Financials. I'll give you a quick brief background for anybody that wants to do solar. We need help to pay for those solar panels somehow, the system. And the help comes typically in 2 or 3 forms in this state. Here in public service territory, public service gives us a check. If, let's say I, as an individual, Vivek, wanted to put up solar panels, it gives us a check that covers approximately about half the price of the system. So for the sake of round numbers, let's say it was $1,000. Public service would pay $500. And another big incentive for about $300 comes from Uncle Sam. It's a federal tax credit. And unfortunately, the challenge has been for nonprofits and for schools is we can't really avail of that tax credit. So it leaves a lot of money on the table. And what we'd like to see happen is somebody that has an interest and an appetite for consuming that tax credit possibly brings their money together, and we utilize public service funds, and they want to see more solar systems going up in their territory, to in turn bring some benefit to the school systems of Palisades Park. And the idea here is, we looked at your bills, we don't have all of them, but our first blush analysis was you're paying somewhere around 14.5 cents per unit of power for the school. Not all of this 14.5 cents can be offset by solar. There are 2 components to a bill. And if you were to switch providers, which you have, I think you have Suez, and you have also PSE&G bringing in the power on your lines. What typically happens when a school or any site switches power to another provider, there is still the incumbent utility that uses its wire, sometimes it's billing even, to bring its services to the consumer. So you wind up now with 2 bills. You have the company that you switch to, and that's the supply, and then whoever generated that power. Right? So there's 2 components, and you're paying for both. There's also another way to look at a bill, and you have what's called the usage, which is like how long did I keep my lights on for? You know, around for a certain number of units that are used up. Also, there's a component which is called a demand charge. There's a bunch of line items on a bill that related to that demand. And what that demand is, how many things did I turn on simultaneously? I might have even done it only for 5 minutes or 15 minutes. If I do it for 15 minutes in a month, it could be a big air conditioning unit, it could be all the lights. And let's say it was the middle of summer, the school's empty, and I turned on everything once for 15 minutes. That demand charge is set now for the year, even though nobody used it for the rest of the month. So that part, that demand charge part, cannot be offset necessarily by solar. And we calculated that to be approximately about 2 cents worth, 2.2 cents worth that we won't be able to offset. So in effect, the charges that you can offset are about 12.5 cents. If you were to switch to another provider other than Suez, let's say, you would not affect the demand. You would not affect the portion that public service still charges you for. The only way to bring down is to actually generate power on site. So if you install a windmill, a CHP, solar panels, whatever it is. So solar panels are a decent way to go. There's incentives around for it. We think we can take that 12.5 cents and bring it down to either 7.5 to 8.5 cents, which represents big savings for the school.
35%.
Would that be on an annual basis, an average?
On every bill. On every bill. Your effective rate would come down. So off that 12.5 cents that we could affect, the usage would come down because you would generate some percentage of power on site. And by paying this combination of PSE&G and Sunwest, that's 7.5 cents, they get made whole for their investment to bring the solar panels here and put them on your roof. So they would borrow from PSC&G, they would take the tax credit, and in return give you possibly one of the best PPAs in the state. Because not a lot of companies are using the two together. The challenge here being if PSC&G gives you money to put panels up, they want their title on the panels. If a third-party financial company that can use the tax credit comes in, they want the title to the panels. So it's usually like this. It's very hard to marry the two excellent programs together. And Sunvest is one of the very few companies that will do that. They will enter the public service program on your behalf, get the funds from them. They'll also utilize their investors to monetize the 30% tax credit from the federal government. And we're hoping the combination of those two things get you that 7.5-cent rate that I talked about.
Vivek,
So-
I feel like we're on Shark Tank. I don't have $1 million to give you.
Right.
But what I do want to know is, are there any surrounding towns or districts that have taken advantage of such a program? And I'm sure the board would like to visit, or some members of the board, and then speak to some of their individuals in the business office. Again, I'm not trying to push this as fast as we can go, but I know there will be proper protocol to follow.
Absolutely.
Public school districts.
Yes. So the short answer is, in some flavor of, this is called a power purchase agreement. In some flavor or form, there are many power purchase agreements on schools in the state. Around where we are,
TNEC.
I can look up like, whether TNEC
'Cause I've
has
seen
one.
it.
I don't
Oh,
know off
for
the top of my head.
I've seen it. I'm just
Yeah.
curious if you've worked with them.
We haven't worked at TNEC.
Okay.
But this combination that I'm talking about, which is to use a third-party financer and then use public service funds, that not many people have done. I don't think there's another example in the state.
Okay.
Right? And we're hoping that instead of signing a PPA at a 9 or 10-cent rate, we can push it down even further by utilizing what public service wants, but finding somebody that's willing to take on that additional risk of, hey, public service still has the title to the system, but still I'm getting somebody to lend in the money. So that was the idea.
Thank you.
So if we're interested, let us know. We'll leave cards, we'll leave some brochures.
Or if you want to stick around, I don't want to waste your time tonight, but maybe members of the board may want to speak to you individually
Absolutely.
or
Right.
whatever's more convenient.
Sure.
Sure.
Jeff, your choice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Is that all for the?
That's all from me.
Great.
Happy Thanksgiving again.
Moving on to the report of board committees, finance, Mr. Mattisich, please.
Excuse me. Before you, you have, I believe, 11 resolutions. I move on the consent agenda on all 11.
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jeffrey Wu,
Yes.
Howard Donovan,
Yes.
Maria Alvarez.
Yes.
Angela Burns. Yes. Patty Wang.
Yes.
Paul Kim.
Yes.
Tom Marazzo.
Yes.
John Madison.
Yes.
Thank you. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Donovan, can you take that, please?
Sure. In front of you, you have two resolutions for use of the school facilities. I recommend that the board approve both.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jeffrey Wu,
Yes.
Howard Donovan,
Yes.
Maria Alvarez.
Yes.
Angela Burns.
Angela?
Yes. Patty Wang.
Yes.
Paul Kim.
Yes.
Tom Marazzo.
Yes.
John Madison.
Yes.
Report of the personnel committee, Mr. Donovan again.
Yes, Mr. Wu, in front of you, we have 6 resolutions, personnel appointments tonight, and I move that the board approval.
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jeffrey Wu,
Yes.
Howard Donovan,
Yes.
Maria Alvarez.
Yes.
Angela Burns. Yes. Patty Wang.
Yes.
Paul Kim.
Yes.
Dr. Marazzo.
Yes.
John Madison.
Yes.
Next is report of the curriculum, Mr. Matarazzo, Dr. Matarazzo.
At this point, no report.
Thank you. And negotiations, Mr. Kim?
Yes, today we had a meeting with the negotiation team, which includes Maria and our representing attorney concerning the custodian negotiation talks, and Teamster was involved with the 97 because they're also part of the member. It's just a preliminary meeting. We did get requests for additional information and a preliminary proposal from them, and I'll report for that as it goes on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim.